London, 2237. They always said the sun had never set on the Empire. But now, most of old Blighty is a shell of his former self. Bodged together buildings, radiation-filled nightmares, hooligans up for a bit of argy-bargy. Or whatever the bloody hell those things in Thameshaven are, if you know what I mean. In fact, the closest semblance of structure we got is the Daft and Barmy boys over in Lambeth. Only they won't budge except for a couple of rows of Lee. So in a nutshell, it's all a bit Tom Tits these days. Listen, the whole of Blighty's up for grabs right now. Nobody's heard from Her Majesty for ages, and frankly, people are cream-cracking here in the gentry's orders from behind their walls. Especially when Tunnelcoff's out there making things go bump in the night. So all's to play for. Each wanker out there wants a part of the pie. The question is, who'll it be? The last vagabonds of London's gutter? The fascist pamphleteers in the fifth column? Or the Camelot knights of days past, heading once more unto the breach? You just need to open your eyes and have a butcher's, me old China. The sun's about to set on this hallowed land. I'll let you into a little secret though. Whilst the location might have changed, war never changes.
Fallout London is one of the most promising and ambitious Fallout mods to date. Recently, they released a few updates, and I was lucky enough to not only be able to have some of those details and more shared with me, but to be able to sit down with the project lead, Dean Carter, also known as Prilladog, for an interview to talk more in depth about some of those details. First and foremost, Fallout London is a total conversion size mod. As you could tell from the trailer and even some of the still images, Fallout London contains the core essence of the Fallout franchise, but it forms into its own by expanding the Fallout universe to UK's neck of the woods. A totally unique and new location awaits as you explore post-apocalyptic London, taking place in the year 2237, 50 years before the events of Fallout 4, and more specifically, between the events of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Which of course, means you are not the sole survivor. You are a completely new adventurer called the Wayfarer. The great part about all of this means the lore is definitely a big focus for Fallout London. The chance to immerse yourself and discover completely new lore, complete with encounters of new factions never before seen, new monsters never before fought, and even finding yourself dealing with things that gives London its personality in real life is not lost in this game. New mechanics like acid rain that you definitely don't want to get caught out in, and a working train system that you may want to utilize, all expands the world of Fallout even more. The size of the world is something that is more described as similar to the size of Vanilla Commonwealth from Fallout 4, and will let new wayfarers immerse themselves from the heart of Westminster to the outskirts of Bromley and everything around and in between. Now, when it comes to some of the staples of Fallout, for instance, Vault-Tec and the FEV are not present in Fallout London. So due to no FEV, you won't see Deathclaws and Centaurs awaiting you, because it doesn't add up in terms of lore. But don't fret. There's new monsters, creatures, and mutations like the Gehenna for you to encounter. Of course, there will be an underground society and bunkers that will inhabit the deeper depths of Fallout London. But don't expect to see Vault-Tec, because, well, Vault-Tec was an American corporation. And of course, story-wise, not everything is laid out on the table and given away, so London's preparation before the bombs will be for you to uncover as well. All of the unique factions which inhabit the world of Fallout London, like the Gentry, the current rulers of London, the Tommies, a London militia, the Fifth Column, a faction that wants to tear down the establishment, opposing factions like the Isle of Dogs Syndicate and the Vagabonds, and more factions for you to find out are awaiting you. Even weapons, armors, and items in Fallout London will have its own unique, fresh slate. All in all, Fallout London is a new, unique, and dedicated expansion of the Fallout universe. Before we get to the interview with the project lead of Fallout London, Dean Carter, a.k.a Prilladog, I just want to say I am very excited to explore and immerse myself in the entire team's vision of a post-apocalyptic London, and I hope you are too. Shout out to Prilladog and everyone who dedicated themselves to this amazing, amazing Fallout mod. And to you who are watching, please enjoy this interview in this episode of Per-Sception. What is up, everybody? I am RenaMarq, aka Renaissance Mark, and this is another episode of Per-Sception. And today I have the project lead of Fallout London, Dean Carter, aka Prilladog. Dean Carter, how are you doing? And please introduce yourself a little bit more for the people.
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And I hope you're doing well yourself.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I definitely am.
So, as you quite rightly said, I'm the project lead of the Fallout London project, which is a large DLC, well, almost total conversion size mod that's coming to Fallout 4. Some of you might have seen it from the E3 trailer that we released.
Yes. And the trailer is definitely what made me was like, I definitely have to talk to you, especially as a big Fallout fan myself. Got the little tattoo right there.
Oh, fantastic.
With that, to jump right into it, to definitely thank you for your time. So my first question to you would be, how did you get to become the project lead of Fallout London?
It's cool. Blow cobwebs of that question. So, I'm a backpacker, and I happened to be at home at the time, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I think it was when the 76 was announced, and we sort of was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if they did something in London, blah, 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 blah. I went off traveling, happened to be in Romania at the time, and whenever I had downtime, I had these thoughts going off in my head, like, when you're just like sitting there at the bus stop, you're like, what would a double-decker bus look like? That sort of stuff.
Right.
And then skip forward, I then start looking it up, because I was like, no, when I finish, I'm going to come home and do something with this, maybe a small mod. I find out someone had already beat me to the point 3 months before. So I joined the team, and I'll be honest, it was a bit of a mess, and slowly worked the ranks through there. And then people, they were just like, okay, your ideas are better. Let's have a change of leadership. And since then, I've ran the team, and we've sort of gone strength to strength from there. So it was definitely a humble beginnings to where it is now.
That's amazing. That's actually an amazing story, going from backpacking and traveling to now, kind of sitting and being able to work on such a expansive project.
Mm-hmm.
About the team, I know you kind of mentioned, it was a little bit of a mess. About the team, how many people are in this project?
So as of right now, with any team, you have sort of your core team members,
right?
And then you have like the periphery, the ones that they maybe hand in some work now and again, then they go away. Real life, some of them have got like big jobs, so they just come in and drop in as the nature of things.
Right.
But there are 60 people on this team, and of which I would say active at any one time, probably about half of them. We literally had our team meeting yesterday, and I think about 40 people showed up. So that's very good.
Yes.
For what is effectively, just a free little modding team. That's good turnout.
That's actually really good. I would in my next question, I definitely want a little bit more personal takes of your thing. So I know this has been in development for quite a while, and I know, of course, with the issues of last year, we had our lockdown, and issues in the States, but I also know that the UK had a lot of problems, and they had a lockdown as well going on in 2020. How did the mod team deal with lockdown, and how did that affect the process?
So, in all honesty, lockdown, I would say, probably saved the project.
Wow.
What most people don't know is that with any of the large teams that are out there, I won't specifically name names, but most of the large teams out there, you get to this period if you've put a year of your work into the project, but Bethesda don't give you the instruction manuals on how to do stuff.
Right.
So you start building wrong, you make mistakes, things aren't optimized, and eventually it's about a year, literally a whole year of work just gets thrown away because you can't use it. So I always use that as a gauge of any of these new ones that pop up. I don't really pay any attention until they get past that first year, because I just know that work's all going to go away because there's mistakes. You're learning.
Right.
And yeah, for us, we sort of had that year, and that sort of was rolling into 2020, and then obviously lockdown and all that started. So I had to end my travels. I came back home, and I sat there and I was like, this is a mess. So we were like, let's salvage what we can, scrapped everything. We effectively started again in 2020. But whilst most people would be like, oh no, that's a bit of a worry because, we've just lost all this work and stuff. We then had literally an entire year off lockdown. I mean, in the next few days, we're meant to be officially ending our social distancing. So we've basically had, a year solid off just being able to sit there in front of our computers. So the amount of work we have done is astronomical. Like, I think we had outdone the work we'd done in the entire year within like a month or two.
That's amazing. That's actually really, that goes to show the dedication to that team. Especially, I know everybody's kind of dealing with that lockdown in their own way, but to still come together and literally increase progression and being so dedicated, that's really really good.
It was a way of channeling. Everyone has these negative emotions, outside, like people would have like been like losing people, or you have all this drama outside in the real world, and then you sort of have this safe space where you can just plug into the creation kit, which is what we're making it on.
Right.
And yeah, we just had a solid year of that, and then you start talking to everyone on voice chat. These become more than friends, almost like a family.
Right.
And then when we go through lossages, or like someone might have lost, like there are people on the team who have lost people, we're all there for them, and in ways that we're closer with each other, despite, even if we're just like a username and a voice, because we're actually talking to each other every day. You might well know yourself that like some of your friends that even like that might live close by, we couldn't go out and see them, especially not over here in the UK.
Yes.
So yeah, you get very close to these people, and it's a support mechanism. So it's done. That's why we put so much work in and dedication.
That's really beautiful to hear. That definitely goes to the dedication. I think that people will be able to see that, and that's when they get to play it for the first time, they can definitely see the level of this type of dedication when they play it. And with that, going into my next question of playing it and things of that nature, all these things that make Fallout quote unquote iconic, like Vault Tech or Super Mutants or Deathclaws, they're not present in Fallout London. How do you build out a story that's new and unique, but keep it recognizably in the universe and keep that feel of Fallout?
So that was obviously one of our biggest hurdles. Not only did we obviously have to sort of come up with our own story, but we didn't want to create carbon copies.
Right.
We can't have Vault Tech, so we're not just going to have, I don't know, like London Tech or something like that. It needs to be something unique to ourselves, and yet not just feel like a carbon copy. So we've had to sort of tread that line, and we feel that we've currently got there. And the only reason why we have is because we have some fantastic writers on the team. We've also made sure to adhere to the small scraps of the lore that are out there about England. So whatever there is, be it in the official lore or even the Bible, which some people consider canon, not canon, but we've made sure that just in case, because we were literally so starved of like actual content from Bethesda, we've made sure to just stick to both of those. So we've made sure we've ticked all those boxes. The rest we have to extrapolate certain things from to still retain that sort of Fallout feel. Otherwise, yeah, we should have just gone with another IP. You know, we need to sort of retain certain things, and at the same time, we need to give it our own flavor. It was definitely a big curve, and how we've done it, I don't want to reveal too much because that's what you get from playing the game.
Right.
But yeah, that's, you know, we're very lucky to have. We've got very professional writers. One of them's accredited, award-winning, and may even be going off into the industry very soon. So yeah, we've been very lucky with some of our writers.
That's a very, very beautiful thing to hear, and that goes to show the that when people do play it for the first time, that immersiveness and that feeling of when they start out in playing Fallout, that entire feel won't be lost on them. And I think that's one of the hugest things, and that definitely came across in your trailers and all the
Thank
other
you.
promotional things that your team has been putting out. I definitely notice that every time I look at a new tweet or a new post or a new YouTube upload that you guys do, and that's very, very, very appreciative. More into the story. So Fallout London takes place in the year 2237.
Correct.
And that's between the events of Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, of course, being 50 years before the events of Fallout 4. What made your team choose that specific year?
So we wanted to make sure that, I mean, honestly, Bethesda wouldn't, if they released a new game or something, it wouldn't necessarily interact with our current timeline. So if we were to have done it after Fallout 4, very unlikely, but if Bethesda then announced, oh, we're doing Fallout London, at least what we've done is we have something that would have predated that. It is what it is. But also it was allowing us to have some of the characters that you may have seen before, such as Tenpenny, not as a stuffy duffy old man, but you actually have him as a younger person when he literally states that he has come from England to go to the US. That was a guarantee for us, like, actually there is a set in stone character that would have been there, would have been younger. Let's do something with that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saying that he's going to be pinnacle to the story.
Right.
It was just one of those things, like I said before, we adhered to as much lore as we could. Now, we're not trying to crowbar people in, but at the same time, it's like, it says he was in England. He would obviously be in London. So, yeah, let's roll with that. So those sort of things were what we went with. And I think also that, you know, like 50 years and that sort of stuff, it's a long time. So it allows us to sort of set things back. So you're not going to have, you know, like, I mean, we don't have them anyway, like the Brotherhood of Steel and that, but they're not necessarily going to just suddenly rock up in their spaceship or whatever. You know, they're not going to be here because that, well, at the time they weren't really around until 76. But yeah.
Perfect. That's perfect. With that, like, and like how you said, like taking those little scraps and finding out, you know, confirmations of like who, you know, certain characters that come from London, and what things will be omit in London and not present in all of that. That's one of the more beneficial things, and like you said, that definitely gives credit to, I know, your writers and your research team, and that's a big thing. And going into how that complements the feel of London, trying to make sure that everything that is in this Fallout is in Fallout London will make sense. So definitely one of my next questions I wanted to ask you was with the mechanics. So there's new and unique mechanics in Fallout London, such as acid rain, and there's new and unique monsters and factions such as the Gehennas and the Thames folk.
Yes.
How do those details come about, and how important is their inclusion to make the player have a more natural feel of being in London?
So one of the biggest obstacles we also had was that England as a whole and all of the United Kingdom aren't exactly known for their very scary wildlife. We basically killed all that stuff off, back in the Dark Ages. So, we're not going to necessarily have bears and things like that running around. So we had to come up with new creatures. And a lot of them are maybe things that you might consider as, in today's world, that's quite cute. Look at that. It's not going to be cute when you see it in game. So that was also one, it was like a need for us to create some dangerous enemies.
Right.
It was also for the fact that a lot of the people on the team looked at some of the works from Van Buren, which is where the idea of the Gehenna came from. Great content. Why not have it reimagined? And yeah, we put that in. And that's one of those things where, again, people can then, one of the things we were worried at is that without going too much into detail with the project known as the Frontier, they took some liberties. It didn't really work out for them. We wanted people to, though, if they saw something, we didn't want to be criticized and going too over the top. Something like the Gehenna, it had lore. It was going to be put into a game. It never made it because Van Buren obviously didn't come out. But
Right.
There it is. So people can actually read up on like the history from what Bethesda thought it was, or Dark Isles, whichever studio it was, and then also with ours. New mechanics, such as the acid rain. It's England. You've got to do something with the rain. That's what we're known for. Same as like our moving trains and the like, which people saw. We've got that fully working. It's a fully working system. You can fight on them. It's very interesting to go around. Again, we wanted to incorporate things that would be new, but not rip you out of it. Lots of people say, again, to mention the Frontier, they had drivable cars. Bethesda hadn't done that.
Right.
So we want to try and strip back the feeling of it's a mod. That's one of the problems that I've found, because I am an active gamer for Fallout 4. I mod my games. A lot of people who become modded stop playing the game. I very much think it's very important to keep playing the game that you're making. So I will play certain people's mods, and there are some which are utterly fantastic, and I'm really immersed. There are some, I walk into a room, I'm instantly broken out because it feels like a mod. It feels like this was not released by the company. So we've made sure that the creatures, as well as the new things that we've put in, all would feel like something that would be from a final product. So that is what we've been trying to do and maintain that realism. We're not going to suddenly have, necessarily like dragons appearing and all that sort of stuff. That wouldn't feel right.
Right. I definitely agree with that, to try to keep it as grounded to what Bethesda would have, kind of in a sense of a way, would have released themselves as best as you can, to make sure that when people do play it feels like another Fallout game. It doesn't feel like Fallout 4 London. It just feels like Fallout London.
Yes.
I definitely
one thing that's been great for us to watch is the amount of dislikes we've actually had on our trailer, because it's people disliking our video because they're saying that Bethesda hasn't upgraded their graphics, and they were spotting reused assets, and they believe that Bethesda should have made new ones. And we're having a whale of a time because it's not a Bethesda game, it's a mod, and people are adamant that Bethesda should have tried harder. It's got nothing to do with Bethesda. It's a mod. So we just love people sitting there complaining about that sort of stuff. It's like, that's not their fault, And I actually spoke to one of the Bethesda community managers, and they actually congratulated us on our trailer. For us as a team, it would have been, we've come up with scenarios in our head where we could just imagine when they released their 76 trailer at E3, and then suddenly this little team doing one on London just basically blew their one out. We're like, who is this? Yeah, we imagine those scenarios. So yeah.
That's actually really cool. That's like,
yeah, I think at the moment, I think the Pit 76 trailer got something like 100,000. I think ours is about to hit 2.1 million views. So you could just imagine someone in the office just sitting there just going, who are these people? Where did they come from?
It's like we got to start running around and we got to do it. That's because I feel like that also, with mods of this caliber, that also kind of pushes the actual developers, like actual Bethesda is what I meant to say, like actual Bethesda, to be like, we gotta take note and do a little better. Like you mods like Fallout London, your team is so dedicated on showing up, which kind of makes like Bethesda kind of not want to do the bare minimum. You know?
I think that's a slippery slope, if I'm honest.
Right.
Bethesda are always going to do what Bethesda want to do,
Right.
but at the same time, they are very much aware of these modding projects. I mean, I've spoken to them, so they are aware, and they are definitely going to be looking to see what works and what doesn't.
Right.
For example, there are many remake mods out there. I very much think that they're going to be watching to see if they can reach completion, because then they might do their own official version. I don't know.
Right.
But I would think that they might be keen on at least finding out about how London fares, because we are obviously the first to take it out of the US.
Right.
Now, if at the time of release people go, "This is terrible," obviously touch wood, it doesn't do that. But if if that's the case, then Bethesda do not leave the US. But if this comes out and people are like, "Oh, I love it! It's new things, new stories, new everything," they might be more inclined to start going, "Oh, we can branch out of the US. Let's start with maybe Canada or Mexico, somewhere like that that's nearby and there is existing law." You know what I mean? So like, they are going to watch these things, because why wouldn't they? They just need to see if it's going to sink or swim, and then they just got to cherry pick the best bits from each thing. So that, I think, yeah, I don't think that they're so much going to up their game, because obviously they are a big corporation and we're just dedicated fans, really.
Right.
But yeah, they are aware, and they are going to be looking to see what they can and can't do.
That's actually that's beautiful, and that definitely it's definitely still a big help to just the Fallout community in general, because that just creates better products all across the board, hopefully, which is great.
One can hope so. I mean,
One can hope.
I know there was a lot of people didn't like Fallout 4. I love it. Like, I wouldn't be
I'm
the
a big
project
Fallout 4
lead
fan,
if I didn't like Fallout 4. 76, everyone has mixed opinions on it, but at the same time, when we want some downtime on our team, we always jump into 76. Because at least that way we're still immersed in it. There's a guy, one of our level designers, spends lots of his time just walking around 76, just looking at the level design. I mean, he doesn't care about the leveling, he doesn't care he just wants to look at everything, because at the end of the day, Bethesda, in my opinion, are some of the masters of the level design.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, some of the questing and the NPC things and the release was shaky, sure.
Right.
But the level design, bar a couple of floating bits now and again, it's pretty solid. And visually, yeah, like we've learned a lot just from looking at them. We actually had a session where we got all the level designers on. We all took like a notepad and pen. We went round and we were just screenshotting. We're like, "That looks cool. We want to do something like that. That looks cool." So yeah, I think it's they're good at doing certain things. But yeah, and it it's good for the team to look at that sort of stuff.
Yes, definitely, and that's very cool. That you just keep proving the dedication, which I completely admired. I know a lot of other players will admire. As this is a game, probably the last story question I may have, but as this is a game that does take place before Fallout 4, so of course you're not the sole survivor.
Correct.
How does character creation tie in with the Wayfarer's background? Is it like Fallout 3 where you have a distinct story, or is it more open-ended, like in the beginning of the game, like a New Vegas?
So we wanted to give the player the most or the largest opportunity to create what they wanted their character to be. So we don't have a voice protagonist. So if you want to imagine them with a squeaky voice, that's up to you. We're not going to remove that. So you can imagine them to be male, female, whatever you want them to be. That's completely up to you. And we've made sure that that was a staple of it. We didn't want you to be having to run after your kid straight away, because for me, I'm running around Fallout 4. It's like, well, 1 second, I need to go and my wife just got killed and my kid's over there. Okay, but at the same time, I'm having like a haram with all my companions. It's like it just seems a bit weird.
Right.
So we've given the player the opportunity to do whatever they want in terms of their character from the start, and they can role play it because role play is key. And I think that was maybe something that Bethesda dropped the ball on slightly. So we're making sure to embrace that.
Thank you for that. I wanna be the first to say thank you for that.
Well, I mean, it's for us. It was quite obvious, and I guess this is the difference between when you said about the dedication of our team versus Bethesda. Is again, they're obviously dedicated. That's why they've got this series. But at the same time, they are a corporation. They need to do this, that, and the other. We don't. We can make these decisions as a team and go, yeah, should we do this? Yeah, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to take it in this route. We don't have to worry about the financial. None of our stockholders are going to get upset. It's just what we want to do. So we can get. Some people will like that. Some people don't. But at the end of the day, we are going to try and do our best for our community.
And that is what makes Fallout London so enticing. Down to, and I must say, down to even the original music that you guys have been uploading on YouTube. Like everything is down to the detailed, everything is down to the wire, and it's definitely seems like you guys aren't missing a beat, which I know will be super appreciated.
Yeah, we have made sure, and we as we spoke at our meeting yesterday, that we are now at the stage where something in some shape or form will be released. So a lot of people's worries are that these big projects, they say a lot of stuff and then they just evaporate. Oh, where have they gone? We are at the stage where if we're reaching very quickly the stage where we're going to be implementing all of the quests, and then from then on, it'll be sort of going on from there. So we've basically done all the level design for the most part, apart from like little sporadic things. But the backup plan I don't want to announce what the backup plan is, but we have a backup plan that will be there for people, so it's not like it'll get squirreled away on my hard drive. People will be able to play this in a shape or form. So that's my guarantee to the people, is that you will be able to play Fallout London in a shape or form. So yeah, it will never just evaporate somewhere. There's too many people working too damn hard, quite frankly, to not release something.
That's beautiful, and definitely you have people like me who is dedicated to, wanting to see how the Fallout community just rises up every time, and I think Fallout London is a true testament to that. And my last question here is, as a project lead and a gamer yourself, if you were to be someone playing Fallout London for the first time, what do you expect to be most excited about?
Oh, that's a question and a half. Okay. In honesty, for me, this is something that we went through and we have studied, is that people play things in different ways. You have the killers that want to just go around and just shoot up everything first person. That's fine. Then you get the explorers, and then you get the people that want to do all the quests and the true role players and stuff. For me, I fall somewhere between exploration and role play. And for me, I want to have that immersion. So that is why I push so hard for it, I feel. There are definitely times when I can go into a specific level designer's levels. I know at heart that he's the killer type of FPS guy, because I go in there and I'm like, there are too damn many ghouls in this place for what I'm equipped with right now. But at the same time, then there are different areas that I can go around, and I'm just interacting with things, getting really immersed. So for me, it will just be exploring, the ruins and the apocalyptic state of London, and just being able to sort of be my own sort of character and go around and sort of see that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to, for me.
That's beautiful.
But I swear, this man puts too damn many ghouls in these areas. Like, he needs to stop.
That's so true. Oh my god! Like, and just like how you said, I'm a big explorer and RPG person too. I love being immersed. I like kind of picking my stats down to the T, and making sure one fits with another, and kind of having those bits of talk points and different talk actions
Yeah.
and checks and stuff like that. So to hear that you say that means, at least, for players like us, like who like to explore, who like to be immersed, is definitely going to be in that. But also taking yourself kind of out of that frame for a little bit and partnering with people in the development team that may be, the FPS type of person. So that will be included in Fallout London in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. Like, everything is a mixed bag. There is going to be something for everybody in Fallout
I mean,
London.
that's why they say what teamwork is dreamwork.
That's
You know,
exactly
you
right.
need to be able to have these people that will build things how they would want them. And now, as being the project lead and having the heads of department, it is our job to make sure that it does all fit together, and you've got this feel that doesn't feel broken. You're not going to suddenly go running off into an area where there's just, they're everywhere. You need to have that consistency and that feel going all the way through. But at the same time, you do need to cater for the people that don't really care about the RPG. They just want to go kill things. You need to make sure that there are places that they can go and do that. Otherwise, they will be bored. That's our challenge, is to make sure that everyone can have fun doing what they want to do in their own play style. That's one of the cores of the Bethesda game series. That is very much something that we maintain to put in Fallout London.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And honestly, with that, I think that you said everything that anybody who is listening to this interview, whether they wanted to come in and hear some stuff, kind of solely about the game and mechanics, or whether
Yeah.
they kind of wanted to hear more about the process, maybe people who are thinking of doing their own, and how, listening to how you came and overcame certain struggles and how you rose up into the development team. I think that this interview is a definite way for people to get just a glimpse of how not only dedicated you and your team are to Fallout London, but to the Fallout community as a whole. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. And I think that no matter what, will have people running to play Fallout London. So I definitely thank you for coming to speak with me today. I truly do.
Yeah, much appreciated, and thanks for having me. Obviously,
Of course, thank you. And lastly, please say anywhere where people can keep updated on Fallout London if they are not already.
I mean, obviously the biggest one is to, first of all, I'd say go and check out some of the stuff we're putting up on YouTube, because it will definitely give you the most obvious sort of like once over of like who we are. But at the same time, come on our Discord. We actually we have a very open development policy. We always, like just today before I came here, I've been sitting in the public chat with just members of the public working on the mod. We're not afraid to show our progress. I know some teams might want to squirrel away and only show what they want to show. We'll be here. You might come in and go, why is that building a square? Why is that person's face on backwards? It's because it's a development project. We're very open. Just come on. You'll find me in there. Come and insult me. Come speak to me. Whatever you want to do. That's what we're there. And community feedback is very important, because that way, if it all goes wrong, we can blame you. No, we're all there. We're all happy for feedback, and we are very community focused. So just come in, come speak to us. That's where we are. So that's on our Discord.
That's perfect. Well, I be there, and of course, all the links will be in the description below. So if you guys want to come and
Fantastic.
join in, please look in the description below, click in the Discord, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, click on it, follow Fallout London. It's definitely going to be an amazing thing, especially if you are a fan of the Fallout franchise and you are part of the Fallout community. And with that being said, I am RenaMarq. This has been Per-Sception, Dean Carter, Prilladog, the Fallout London team. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.